Our Financial and Administrative Services Committee. On this committee are myself, Councillors O'Toole, Councillor Berg, and Mayor Clayton. Sorry, Councillor O'Connor, Berg, and Clayton. So my first order of business is an adoption of agenda. I'd just look for somebody to make that motion, please. Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Chair. I move that we adopt this agenda.
Okay, thanks for that.
In favor.
And that carries. Thanks for that. So we have no delegations. We'll move into reports, and we'll start off with our service area update. And to Chief Whiteway, please.
Thank you, Chair Palat. So a quick update from the service area. Assessment and taxation are getting ready for tax time and ensuring that notices will get to property owners around the May long weekend. Just a reminder that taxes will be due on June 28th this year, as the 30th does fall on a Sunday. In finance, staff are finalizing processes for annual reporting. So yesterday, our financial information return was submitted to Municipal Affairs, and that was done in conjunction with the audited financial statements for 2023. They're also working through any of our grant reporting for the calendar year, so specifically our statement of funding and expenditures for our MSI and CCPF programs. Next, procurement has currently 8 bids on the market. There are 5 more scheduled for release this week. Additionally, they are facilitating the surplus, like it could be furniture, equipment, those types of things, at the City on 99 building as those departments have moved to the Cedar Point location. Finally, just a reminder again, spring bike auction. There's currently 101 bikes that will be up for auction beginning May 2nd at 9 a.m. and running through until May 16th. And lastly, GIS and IT. They've updated a satellite imagery photo of the city that's scheduled to be captured in May, weather dependent, as well as created a noxious weed spray application for park spray program operations. So that's what they've been up to, and that completes my update.
Okay, thanks for that, Chief Whiteway. Councillor Berg.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Palat. Just a quick question around the bike auction, and this is just for the public that may be watching and wants to bid. Can you tell them where they can bid? Certainly, through the Chair. All of the bikes will be available online through our GovDeals site. So govdeals.com. That's right. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Berg. Any other questions for Chief Whiteway? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, our 4.2 fees, charges, and rates and charges. And I'm coming back to Chief Whiteway for that one, please.
Thank you, Chair Palat. So the recommendation today is that the Finance and Administrative Services Committee recommend Council give 3 readings to Bylaw C-1395N, being an amendment to the Fees, Rates, and Charges Bylaw. So just on the changes, at the City Council meeting April 24th, 2024, Council approved Policy 622, being the Sidewalk Patio Program Policy. Upon passing of the policy, Council directed administration to update the Fees, Rates, and Charges bylaw to reflect the approval of the associated fees. A new fee will be added to reflect Council's approval of this policy in Schedule A under the Land subsection of the Planning and Development section. So with the above-mentioned changes required in the Fees, Rates, and Charges bylaw, administration undertook a secondary review of all the rates referenced in the bylaw and noted an opportunity to provide clarity to Schedule A, Low-Income Transit section, and Schedule A Transit sections. The changes noted under the Low-Income Transit section and the Transit section are administrative in nature and are being proposed to align with current practice and to provide clarity to users. There are no proposed changes to the fee amounts for those areas. And that does conclude my report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Some questions? I'll go to Councillor Berg first, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. With low income, what is the qualification for that?
Thank you for the question. That's not something I could answer. I'd have to get back to Council on that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Ms. Whiteway. And I'm just concerned of the fee of only $100, and that I don't want to get in the kitchen, but I think that's not enough to cover costs for the department to not have a loss. And, one visit is going to chew up a good portion of that. So I'm just wondering, is that something that should be looked at? And
Chief Whiteway, and then I'll go.
Thank you, through the chair. And if I recall, I believe this was discussed at the meeting when it was approved by council, in that it wasn't intended to be fully cost recovery either. And a lot of our fees are not fully cost recovery. It's not the intention. So that was why the $100 was what the final fee on
okay,
the
as
patio.
long as you guys are happy with that, that's fine.
Mayor Clayton.
Really, this discussion today is in order for committee to ask questions before it goes to council for 3 readings. If you wanted to potentially make a change, you could do that at that time. It was agreed upon at a different standing committee in regards to that rate, but if you had interest in changing it, I would do it when it came to council.
Seeing no other I just had a question on it. I appreciate we're trying to update the policy today around some stuff that council's made changes on. I'm just from my understanding, how often do we look at what we charge for a sheet of ice and what we charge for a swimming pool lane, and do we do a pretty thorough scan of that every year? I'm just wondering if there's going to be a subsequent one potentially coming later in the year that might address some of those fees as well.
Thank you for the question, Chair Palat. So we do it as part of the annual budget process. So we look at and do a jurisdictional scan on those types of things, ensure that our rates are reasonable, and adjust accordingly. And that's presented to council each and every budget deliberation.
Okay, so there'll be something coming back before the fall that would make sure that we're accordingly to the other peers in our St. Albert, Sherwood Park, or whatever they're charging for ice, that we'd be comparable to that. That's, if I understand that correct. So we'll see something before fall budget on the rates again.
Thank you for the question. It's brought simultaneously at budget deliberation, so it's included in the budget book package each year for council.
Okay, thank you for that. So Mayor Clayton.
So, Ms. Whiteway, I don't think what Councillor Plott is looking for actually comes forward in that presentation. He's looking for a comparable on recreation facility user fees in comparison to other mid-sized cities. And I know you do a general scan, but I think if Councillor Plott wants some specifics, I think you're probably better outside of this conversation to make a motion to see a report come back.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton, for that clarification. That is my concern. Sometimes we hear from our community that we charge too much. My gut is we don't charge enough on some of our facilities, but I have no way to quantifying that. So I am wondering, I'll look to our CEO if this is a subsequent motion or if this is something admin would bring as a report at some point, or if you'd like us to actually make a motion to task that.
Either way, this is some work that we do have planned for this year. If it was a subsequent motion, there will be an opportunity later in the spring for administration to talk to all of council about what budget expectations are as a whole package for the fall. So there would be an opportunity to have that as part of a global package. But if you wish to make that motion now, I would just suggest that the timeline be in line with budget deliberations. So,
I would suggest you make it a motion so it's on the outstanding items list.
Okay, so
But outside of this, we have a...
yeah, so we'll receive this, and then you'd like to see a motion, preferably today. Okay, yeah. So if there's no other questions on the current business at hand, could I look for somebody to make a motion, please? Councillor Burke, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Palat. I would like to move that committee recommend council give 3 readings to Bylaw C-1395N, being an amendment to the fees, rates, and charges bylaw.
Thanks for that. Pop up an e-scribe here. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you for that. We'll move on to our next item, our property tax bylaw. Or sorry, Mayor Clayton, did you want to?
I think that, sure, I can make the other motion for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I was going to ask if somebody else could do it because I'm not allowed to do that.
I would just direct administration to bring back a report identifying a jurisdictional scan in regards to the user fee prices of recreation facilities, and bring that back in conjunction with budget discussions.
Thanks for that, Mayor Clayton. Any other questions or debate on that? Seeing none, just let our city clerk type away to get that in, please. appreciate you making the motion for me, Mayor Clayton. Okay, so it's come up on your e-scribe now. Please read it and vote.
And I guess just a question to Councillor Plott, would you like to see cultural facilities in there as well? Looking primarily for recreation.
I guess for me, the bigger the swath, the better. I think if admin's doing a bunch of that work, the better. I think that's a council conversation. Maybe at that point of maybe we want to be more aggressive with our fees or less, but that does have an impact on our taxes and our overall expenses. And
It might be a little harder because I guess what do you now that I think about it, are you talking about a meeting room in a library, or are you talking about a facility? Do you know what I mean? Such as Teresa Sargent Hall, and so. Yeah, I don't know. It might be better to leave it at record.
You know what? I'm just as I'm reading the motion. I think this is fine for now. Okay. CEO Burke did mention there's going to be other check-ins come for budgeting. So if this didn't cover enough, I think council could probably make a subsequent motion later on. But I appreciate that. Okay, so please vote. And that carries. And with that, we'll move on to our next one, our property tax bylaw. And I'll look to Mr. Smith to introduce this one, please.
Thank you, Chair Plott. So before you today is the 2024 property tax bylaw. As you all know, Council Committee of the Whole met back in November and passed the 2024 operating capital budgets with a 3.28% tax increase. However, last week Council amended those two budgets, and due to the cancellation of the stormwater utility, it increased that amount by an additional $874,000, which brought the total tax increase to 3.97% versus the original 3.28%. If I can, I'll just speak to a few numbers here quickly. In regards to the assessment base, the average residential property increased approximately 2.8% in value, while the average non-residential property decreased by 0.8% in value. In regards to the education requisition from the province, it remains relatively the same, is increasing a small amount by 0.3% and is increasing to $30.1 million this year. The Grand Spirit requisition, though, is increasing by amount of 75% to $983,000. So on an average home, that would equate to about $13 on an annual increase. Once we combine all the requisitions we have, so your municipal school and Grand Spirit, the overall tax increase will be 3.26% for an average home, which is approximately $129 per year. And an average commercial property will see an average tax increase of 3.7%. So not all properties will experience the same impact. Property impacts will vary from property to property depending on how each individual assessment compares to the average comparison. So we're, as Chief Whiteway mentioned in her update, we're expecting tax notices to be mailed around the May long weekend, and they'll be due June 28th as June 30th does fall on the Sunday this year. So attached to the report, you will find all the appropriate schedules that show the impacts of the levies. And with that, Mr. Chair, we're asking that committee recommend council give 3 readings to bylaw C-1473, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Smith. Any questions? Councillor O'Connor. Okay. If there's no questions, I would look for business arising then. Councillor O'Connor.
I'd move that committee recommend council give 3 readings to bylaw C-1473, being the 2024 property tax bylaw. And in speaking to this, I'm concerned that we're not adding more, that at some point in the future, we're going to have a double-digit increase. So just my word of caution. So that's it.
Thanks for that, Councillor O'Connor. Should show up in your e-scribe. Please vote. And that carries. As we have no correspondence or other business or bylaw or policy review, we'll go back to our outstanding items list, and I'll go back to Chief Whiteway, please.
Thank you, Chair Plott. There's no changes to the outstanding items list as presented.
Okay, so we'll just look for business arising. Councillor Berg?
Yes, I would like to move that committee receive the April 30th outstanding items list as presented for information.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's vote. And that carries. And with that, we'll adjourn our Financial and Administrative Services Committee, and we'll be back here fairly quick for the next one. Thank you.